There is a great blessing of being declared righteous. Now, I am going to try to talk about a very important theological topic, but can be somewhat difficult to understand. This idea that you and I are declared righteous, not because we are righteous or good in and of ourselves, but God looks at us and says, you are righteous. You are justified. God looks at you just as if you never sinned. That's a good way to remember what justified means. God looks at you just as if you have never sinned. It's the great blessing of being declared righteous. Now, I think it's important to realize that while we are declared righteous, we are not righteous in and of ourselves. So, how do we become righteous? How are we declared righteous? How are we justified if we're really not? It's because Jesus's perfect life, his righteousness, is given to us, is declared to be ours, and our sin is then declared to be Jesus. It's a very important Protestant doctrine of being declared righteous, and we see this at the very beginning of Psalm 2 or 32. And I want to remind you, I really want you to read the reading before you watch this video. So if you've not read it, pause it and spend about 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes reading it and try to find your own space. But what I want to point out is this opening. Chapter 32, blessed is the one whose transgression is forgiven, whose sin is covered. You see, there's that old idea of being, of that the righteousness is declared. You are declared to be righteous. The sin is covered. Your transgression is forgiven. It's assumed that you are a sinner, that I am a sinner, that we have transgressed. We have crossed over the boundary that God told us not to cross over. And we've been forgiven for that. Our sin has been covered by the sweet sacrifice of Jesus Christ. And it's a blessing. It's a great joy to be declared righteous. Notice we are not righteous in and of ourselves, no, but we are declared that by Jesus' own work. Verse 2, blessed is the man against whom the Lord counts no iniquity. So again, there's that declaration language. He is declaring that you have no iniquity. That would be a word that's meaning dirty. Another word to talk about sin. No dirt. Sinfulness causes dirt and causes dirtiness. But the Lord does not count you dirty. He doesn't count you sinful. He counts you righteous because Jesus died for you. That is, if you believe. And in whose spirit there is no deceit. So you are blessed when the Lord does not count you as dirty, as sinful, when you are forgiven. And then you see, this is contrasted with verse 3. When I kept silent, my bones wasted away. So you can either say, yes, I sinned and I need to be forgiven. Or you could say, I'm not really all that bad. I'll just keep silent. Well, there's going to be all kinds of sufferings that you're going to experience internally. And the way David is explaining is with physical symptoms. So that's 3 and 4, talking about how terrible it is when you hold in your sin. But 5, notice what happens. Here's an example for us to follow. I acknowledged my sin to you, and I did not cover my iniquity. Oh, goodness. And the water gates opened up. You just feel so much better when you admit that you're wrong. Don't be prideful and don't try to cover up your sin. Admit it and receive the forgiveness that comes from the Lord. And that's what 5 is talking about. That's what 6 is talking about. And it's actually, verse 6 is even saying, offer a prayer to you at a time when you may be found. It's saying that everyone who's godly needs to be praying to the Lord and confessing that sin while you still can. Don't hide your sin over and over again. Confess it to the Lord while you still can. And when you do that, he'll be a hiding place for you. Verse 7. And then we see David is going on and talking about how he's going to teach us the way that we should go, or that the Lord will teach us the way that we should go. And he's going to counsel us. Don't be like a horse or mule that don't have any understanding. Listen to the Lord and come back to him. And you see the psalm is ending. Be glad in the Lord and rejoice. Now, what's interesting is then as you go on to Psalm 33, we talk about there's this command, shout for joy in the Lord, O you righteous. Again, not because you're good and perfect, but because you've been declared righteous. You've been declared right with God. So shout to joy for that because God has declared you righteous through Jesus Christ. You're going to do it with the lyre. You're going to do it with all kinds of musical instruments in verse 2. and you're going to sing a new song unto the Lord. Verse 4, the word of the Lord is upright. So here's some reasons we can sing to the Lord a new song: because his word is upright, and because he gathers the waters of the sea as a heap. There in verse 7, he created everything, he keeps it going. Again, there's a command in verse 8: let all the earth fear the Lord. Why? Because he commanded the earth to be in existence, and it stood firm. The Lord brings the counsel of the nations to nothing. Reasons for the earth to fear the Lord. When we say fear, we're talking about being in awe of God. Wow, he is so great and powerful. Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. The Lord looks down from heaven. He sees all the children of man, and blesses them. He's watching over us over and over again. And then in verse 17, we see that military weapons is not our hope for salvation. Any sort of strength that we have in and of ourselves is not going to save us. Therefore, we need to worship the Lord. He's the one that can deliver our soul from death. Our heart is glad in him because he has made us righteous. He's declared us righteous. We trust in his holy name. That's that great Protestant doctrine that we are justified by faith. The reason that Jesus justifies you is because you trust, you have faith in what Jesus did for you. You trust in that holy name of Jesus. So let your steadfast love, O Lord, be upon us, even as we hope in you. I pray that has been a blessing to you. I'll see you all in the next reading.